Good morning. I'm just setting up. Let's see. All right, there we go. Good morning. It's Morning Oasis. It is, it's Thursday, the 30th of March. Can you guys believe that we are already 1/4 of the way done with this year? Actually, we're starting into our 1/3 because once we finish, April is, 1/4 of the way done. I'm a little blown away by that. Time is flying, and I know they say that as you get older, time flies, and you face the reality of how quickly time goes by. But my gosh, it is really flying, I think. Okay. So let's see. We have been focusing on a theme this week. We've been working on fractured states, fractured identities, being able to understand ourselves, being able to see ourselves. That's been a constant theme for this week, and we're going to continue it. Today's going to be our last day in this series, at least, of talking about that. I have spent my morning snuggling with my bunny. Oh my gosh, she's so sweet. You just woke up. Good morning, Jessie. Yeah, I actually slept. I've been sleeping in lately. I slept until almost 9 this morning. I still probably have some sleep in my eyes. Did you get a good sleep? I had a dream last night. I had this dream about, it was really interesting, actually. I was like camping, and I was camping with all these amazing people, and there were so many of us there, and it was just the most powerful, intense dream, and I had the hardest time waking up from it. Good morning, Sue. So anyway, as far as I know, you guys, I don't have any card pulls yet for today, so if anybody would like one, today is open for that. I was thinking about reading a little bit, but it would just depend on whether or not I can get into that and find the right stuff. So yeah, we're still open for card pulls this morning. What else was I going to tell you guys? There's something else. It's not coming to me. Oh, yeah, I was going to tell you about the bunny. She has so much grown up, you guys. It's amazing. Good morning, Yvonne. You'd like one, Sue? Great. She is completely litter trained now, you guys. I don't find poop anywhere. I don't find poop anywhere. I don't find she hasn't peed anywhere since like day 2. Storm would like a pull. Alrighty. Okay, so we've got Sue and Storm and Jessie, and we've got one more slot for a card pull for anybody. Good morning, Andrea. All right, perfect, Yvonne. Now we're full. So I'm just so excited. It's totally paid off, that hard work. And she actually goes upstairs. She goes up and down the stairs now. We've gotten it pretty much where all the cording is shut off, so she can't get anywhere that would allow her access to cords. And now she's pretty much trained where she won't go to the places that I don't want her to. Good morning, Savante. Yeah. Oh my God, 25 pounds. That would be so awesome. That'd be like a big bunny. Well, her mom is about this big, I think. Yeah, about like this big. And her dad is about like this big, and he's easily 20 pounds. He's a beast and really a cool rabbit. So I'm hoping she'll come somewhere within there. But yeah, she just runs up and down the stairs. The only thing she does now that's naughty is she wants to get in there with my husband. My husband's at home working. And it's called Fangs, right? Yeah. So anyway, she wants to be at home up in the room with him. That's one of the spaces. When she's denied something, she is relentless. So she was actually like scratching at the door really hard, and my husband was like, Gypsy, because he never thought of the rabbit being capable of making that level of sound and aggression on the door. So I had to go up and bring her down. I'm like, no, you cannot harass him. You're not allowed in there. And I kind of had to herd her down. You know, Yvonne, I haven't taken her. I tried to take her on walks when we first got the harness. and the harness was a little bit too big, but now she is just the right size for it. So today, some friends of mine and I were, Mariah and her daughters and my son and I are going to go out to the Multnomah Gorge, the Columbia River Gorge, excuse me, and go to the waterfalls, and I'm going to take her, and I'm going to take her harness and see if she wants to do some running around out there. I'm excited. I definitely want her to be leash trained, and I definitely want her to be able to accompany us places. So far, she's been really good about that. When we take her out, I just keep her in her carrier or have her on the harness. So we shall see how that goes. I'm super excited. I want her to be an animal that is comfortable going out and being out with us. She so far does really well. I took her downtown with me, and I had her in the harness, and we went to the bank, we went to the phone store, and then we went to the pet store. That's why she was with me. She was getting her first nail trimming at the pet store, so I could see how they do it. Yeah, so I'm excited. I love her. She is just this amazing creature. Okay, so Sue, let's see. The messenger oracles want to talk to you, Sue. They've been wanting to come out quite a bit, haven't they, lately? Interesting. You know, it's funny, the Voyager Tarot, I'm not sure that it's mine. I might be a conduit for it because I have yet to really connect in with it. That's hilarious, too, with a hammer. You know, my mom, she had this friend once, this was years and years ago, and she went to go visit, and their 3-year-old was playing with a hammer, like a real hammer. And she's like, oh my gosh. Is that safe to let that little boy be playing with a hammer? And as she's talking to them, you know, the mom and the dad were sitting along on the couch. Oh, you guys, oh, that's awesome. And so he was going along, and he was just pounding on things. He wasn't breaking anything, but he was hitting things. She's like, is that safe? And the mom is like sitting there telling her how, yeah, we want him to know what tools are and to be comfortable with them. And he went right behind the dad and just conked him on the head with the hammer and knocked him out cold. I always thought that was hilarious. Oh, that's so cool. That is awesome. Oh, yeah, she is quite the pal. We had a horse that used to carry around railroad ties in his mouth. He loved to play with them. He would run around and he'd throw them with his... I was blown away. I had no idea horses' necks could be so strong, even though I grew up raising them. Yeah, animals are amazing. What they find, what they get interested in, what they're curious about. So fascinating watching them. All right. Oh, Sue. So you got Follow the Moon. I love this card. Isn't that just stunning? Follow the Moon. Now, one of the things that, and I think if I remember correctly, we're just coming out of a new moon, if I remember correctly. Oh my gosh. Now, Yvonne, I wanted to ask you if you've been able to find a site where you can actually get the current Schumann resonance, because I haven't been able to get it off the Heart Math Institute. It's not been coming up, and it is intense. It is intense. And not only that, but I don't know if you were reading, but like back in March, depending on where you were at, in that area around Saudi Arabia and in that Arabian Peninsula, it was up in 326, I believe, megahertz. That's intense. Like, that's so much higher. I'm blown away. You don't have to be sorry you're late, Chris. Come in when you come in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've just been using my own body, and and you're right. It's really strong right now. Earth is shifting. Earth is changing. It is changing. Okay, so Sue, follow the moon. Perfect. You don't have to worry about doing that right now. There's always later. So following the moon, you know, I'm going to pull out the book for this one because it's telling me to, and there's something in there that I might not say. So 3/4 of the surface of Gaia is covered in water, and the moon's pull can lift the oceans at the equator and carry them along her wake. 2/3 of the human body is also water. And therefore, you also are subject to her power. As she waxes and wanes, so do you. Take note, follow the moon's cycles, and take note of how you think and feel as her light increases and decreases. Take time to explore and understand her influence upon both your body and your emotions. So, so right now, when as the moon is coming back into fullness, I think it'd be really valuable for you to keep a moon journal. That's one of the reasons that I love my calendar. So this is the day planner. I've been using this for the last 3 years. I always keep my day planners also. I rarely go back through them, but sometimes I like to. Yeah, very intense. Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, Andrea, the other night I got so dizzy I thought I was going to throw up. I felt like I had just gotten off a tilt-a-whirl. It was awful. Okay, so the wee moon calendar, it's, you know, I'm not one that's really big on the whole removing men from the words. I'm not really in that, but I love this calendar. And one of the reasons that I love this calendar is, first of all, it's got some amazing imagery in it. It has beautiful poems, stories, writings, information, and so, like, for instance, here we are in this week. This week there's a poem in here, Dream 1979. I could read it to you, but I'm not going to. And look, here's Wave Bender, right? So we were just talking about the ocean and the waters and how it moves through you. And it also shows you where you're at in the moon cycle, what planet is dominant in that. It shows what's transitioning and when. Let's see if you can get that. What's transitioning and when. It tells you, it has like the days on in different languages, connecting us more. Tells us the new moon is in Aries, exactly what time that occurs at, which was 7:57 p.m. Pacific Standard, because I'm in Pacific, and they are too, clearly. So it has tons of information, and you know, at the back, if ever you need to, it has, you know, this just a moon calendar. So you can look at the months and kind of plan ahead and see the whole month. It's got these kind of moon charts as well. The lunar phases. It talks about each different moon phase. There's 13 moon cycles in a year. And so it has just a ton of information. And there's also planetary charts. Where are the planets at, right? Where are they at and where are they moving to? So if you're into that, you're into astrology and all of that stuff, then it's great. There's also astrological, let me see if I can find one. Yeah, so there's great readings. So this is Year at a Glance for Taurus. This talks about the year for Taurus as we shift into it. This one, I ordered it on Amazon. It's called, I'm going to show you again, Wee Moon, and this is the 2017. This is Gaia Rhythms for Women. I wish they had one. I wish it wasn't so female specific, but it is. And I'm a woman, so, you know, whatever. But what I have found is these little pictures, and they are bang on for what I'm dealing with. Like, for instance, I had a session with a woman last year, and bees came in. It was the first time I worked with the consciousness of bees, and it was an amazing experience, honestly. It was an amazing, life-changing experience. Right after that, I saw a post for a woman advertising a bee session. Good. Don't feel excluded. You shouldn't. It helps you embrace your feminine side. And then I had another session with someone where bee energy came in. Then my friend told me her business was named a Honeybee, and this was I guess actually a couple years ago. I think it was when I got my first Wee Moon calendar, and I was still being blown away. And then it was like the bee energy was boom, boom, boom. And then I picked up my calendar and flipped it to the next page, and there was a mother bee there. And I was like, oh my God. Seriously, this is right on. So I love this calendar. So tracking what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and just start watching it, observing it, and let yourself become aware of how you're being influenced by the moon. And it really is a very powerful experience. I spent from, let's see, October through January of this last year into this year, really tracking my moon cycles and how I was feeling in that, and it helped me understand myself much better. I actually become a cranky bitch right around a particular time in the moon cycle, and I am mean to my husband, I am mean to myself, I isolate myself, I pull back from people, so it was good to know that. All right, let's see. So we've got Jessie. The Earth Magic want to talk to you, Jessie. These are by Stephen D. Farmer. I just dropped the box, but I caught it. There's the box. Oracle cards. Yeah, you're crazy around the full moon. I find it's the new moon that is harder for me. The full moon is all about reflection, and the new moon is about introspection. When we have to go into the internal rather than looking at the external. So it is worth just kind of tracking. And what I usually do with my calendar, especially when I was tracking that kind of stuff, I would just put a little smiley face next to the day, or a frown face, or something along those lines. And it really helps me just kind of go back and look at, oh, really? Yeah, exactly, Jesse. That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's perfect. Lunatic. Oh, Jesse. You got generations. So this is beckoning back to the Aboriginal perspective of the Great Snake, and that twines and winds and connects all of us through our generations. Looking back at your generational ancestral information. Let's see. Again, I'm getting cued to go to the book. They're like, they already know what you're going to say, Jesse. They don't know what he's going to say. Okay. We'll see what he has to say. Stephen D. Farmer is another one that is really quite interesting. I really like him, his perspective. You have within you the blood of your ancestors. You're deeply connected to your lineage, the most immediate proof of that being the physical resemblance you have to your mother and father, and perhaps even your grandparents. Yet beyond that, although unknown to your usual senses, you are connected to an ancestry that reaches back through the millennia. This is the time, exactly. This is the time, I lost my place, to call upon those ancestors, those who are of your bloodline, as well as those ancient ones who've walked the land that you now walk. By the way, I'm hearing our friends in this. This is about connecting. Are you going out to the farm soon? I think that perhaps calling up the bloodline connection that you have to them, because that's one of the things that we tend to forget. We think of them as totally separate from us, and we do come from them, genetically at least. End of May. So perhaps consciously just connecting into them, connect into that space, tune into that space, and create an allowance for the messages to come through. They, at this point, could come to you. You don't have to go to them, is what I'm getting. So just recognize that. That's going on also. Let's see, is there anything else from here? Yeah, here it just says, next time you're outside, allow your senses to open to those ancestors who abide in the physical world. At any time at all, allow your heart to open to those spirits whom you are related through your heredity, and those to whom you are connected by virtue of the land upon which you live. So yeah, they're definitely asking you to come into allowance and to recognize that you do not need to be limited by location and physicality, which was the lesson they taught you last time, if I recall, the bussing in. Remember, you don't have to move to where they come to you, whether it's physically or psychically. So that's what I'm hearing for you. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, so let's see. And Yvonne, did you just leave the States and go back somewhere? I was seeing something along those lines, and I was curious about that. Because weren't you over in Boulder? I kind of track stuff like that, but not entirely. Okay. The Shadowscapes want to talk to you. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that one's for me. Okay. Interesting. What came up for me, I'll just show you guys since it popped during the show. Tell you about those snakes. What about the snakes in particular would you like to know, Guru? Gurdeep. I keep calling you Guru. Isn't that funny? Okay, so for me, what I got was the Five of Swords. This is all about, he feels like he has to defend himself against these terrifying big black birds that are coming at him. They're armed. But the reality is, oh, good morning, Shauna. I didn't see you come in. The reality is that they don't have their swords drawn, and they're not attacking him, and he doesn't have to defend himself. They're actually bringing him things. So sometimes things come at us in a scary guise, and we think, oh my God, they're attacking us, but it's truly a gift that's being brought. And I am going through that right now. I'm in the middle of a conflict with, well, I'm not in the middle, I should say that, because we did talk about it yesterday, and kind of I shared what I needed to share with another healer who felt that I was giving him things, and I felt like, wow, you're kind of destroying the sacred space of vulnerability in a healing. So it was interesting. Thank you, Jessie. So that was why I got that card, is to remember it's a gift to me, even though it feels like an attack. And that's because I am really sensitive about giving off things from my energy unconsciously. I don't ever want to cause harm to another person. I don't ever want somebody to feel like they have to carry something from me. I don't like the whole concept that people blame others for their energy. Even when I pick up something from someone, I don't think it's their fault. I recognize it's because it's something in me that needs to be highlighted and seen. So anyway, that was why that came through. So, okay, Yvonne, looks like you're about to start a new business, or you are starting a new business, and this card is talking about prosperity in relationship to that. When we get this card, the Ace of Pentacles, it means money's coming through. It's a good business transaction. It's a good exchange. It's a good building up of something. There's Gypsy Boy grooming himself so discreetly, right? Hey, do that somewhere else. So, go lick your crotch somewhere else. Okay, so good business, good money. This is energy that's coming through. Right now is the time to open that up and allow that to come through and to receive from this. This is a good, potent card. I love this to come up when I'm doing some work that is time. Yeah, thank you. Good boy. Don't go do that right in the background. Have you no shame? Okay. Oh, that's hilarious. And oh, perfect. Oh, I can't wait to see that. Oh, that's great. Awesome. I can't wait to see how that grows and develops. Oh yeah. See, he's like, don't make fun of me on camera. I'm out of here. Did you guys hear him skitter scatter? Now he's up the stairs. Meowing at Papa to let him in the bedroom. She was mean to me. Okay, all right, perfect. So, oh, isn't that hilarious? I love it when animals, they're really more with us in the space than we actually acknowledge or admit to. That was hilarious. Okay, so judgment. Today I thought we would finish out all of this talk that we've been doing this week. Oh, I'm sure. He's such a poor little kitty. My cat is so spoiled. Our animals are so spoiled. Okay. You know, I ended up doing some session work with someone yesterday, and also having one of my students come over and talk about something they were really confused about. And so I felt like this is one of those topics that we can't talk enough about. I struggle with it when I'm in the thick of it, when I'm in the thick of judging somebody. It's really hard to see how that could possibly be in relationship to me, because I don't do that behavior. I don't participate that. Oh, Chris, you were on top for today, weren't you? I knew I was missing something. You did not miss your reading. You're reminding me of it. So let's see. Let's do Chris's real quick. We'll make an exception. The Goddess cards want to talk to you. These ones are by Lisa Porter. I still haven't found a good God deck, honestly. I wish I could. I found one that was interesting that was Hindu gods, but I try to stay away from the religious aspect of things. And I get that it's a pantheon of archetypes that are repeated all over. Yeah, for sure. So you've got Bloodved, and she's all about discernment. Now her story, it's not coming to me at this moment, but there was a great movie that was made about this. Oh, no problem, Yvonne. Have a great day. Yes, ask for tomorrow. Oh, you would like one tomorrow? I can put you down, Savante. And tomorrow, by the way, you guys, is the Q&A Friday. Yeah, it's definitely in the air, kind of all over the place. I just threw my pen lid down. Oh well. Okay, so Bloodved is about discernment. Now, she was led astray and made choices that really were quite damaging to her family, and she ended up being turned into an owl, or was she a hawk? I can't remember. But she, because of her choices, because of following the wrong kind of people, she's like, quit trying to wing it, because one second, I'll tell you again. She's card number 8 in the group. She's like, don't wing it. Just read about me. Okay, I'll read about her. So her name is Bloodved. It's Bloodwedd, if you want to write her down. She's the Welsh maiden goddess, Bloodwedd, and it means flowers, blossom, and flower face. Beautiful and youthful. She was made from flowers and herbs to be the wife of King Lula. Gifts. The Welsh, I can never pronounce their names. While her husband was away on business, she met a hunter, grown Peter. The two lovers plotted to kill her husband, but failed. Bloodved was turned into an owl and belongs purely to the night. Bloodved quietly makes herself known to you when you're being initiated into a higher level of self-awareness. She cautions you to be discerning with your inner knowingness and higher senses, to trust your hunches and intuition when dealing with people. If you deceive yourself, the world will mirror back deception to you. And the keywords, discernment, passage of youth to adulthood, milestones, clever, astute. She's also, the shadow is self-deception, being deceived by others, and immature, deceiving others, self-betrayal or betrayal from others, lies, hidden agendas, sneaky truths, half-truths, devious traumas, erratic behavior. So, this is definitely something that's coming up, and it's also about today, what I wanted to talk about today. Discernment and judgment, right? So We want to blame others when they deceive us, when they harm us, when they treat us poorly. The truth is, we call that to us. We create the environment for us. We give them that power, that awareness, that allowance. And she's definitely here helping guide us in this process today of doing our judgment work. Now, judgment is one of those things, I think I've said this before, it really gets a bad rap. You know, we treat judgment as though it's a bad thing, but it's because of the way we use it. We use it to separate ourselves from others. We use it to distinguish ourselves from others. What I was talking with a client about last night, yesterday, was, you know, why we have judgment and why it is that we're in this system of mirroring in the first place. The whole process is basically when Source was all by itself, just this individuation, it didn't know itself. It just was. It couldn't know what it looked like. It couldn't know how it behaved, because so much of what we know about ourselves is in contrast to the other. You don't believe a true intuitive can be deceived. Well, they can't by another, but they certainly can by themselves. You know, oftentimes intuitives are intuitive about other people and clueless about themselves. That's what I've found, and that's what I've experienced. That's one of the reasons that I started using this judgment piece in order to really understand myself. But when we do start to really pay attention to what's coming to us from the outside, then we can really understand what's going on in the internal. So Source was all by itself, and it decided to separate so that it could see itself. Oh, that's me, that's you, that's separate from, okay, so I'm not that, but I am this. If I'm that, then I can't be this. That whole process, and then it realized that this just 1 and 2 are not enough, so it kept dividing and creating a multiplicity of perspectives in order to see itself from all angles, from all viewpoints, from all possibilities. And as doing so, we forgot eventually that we're a part of that whole. And by being a part of the whole, we have the characteristics and the traits of the whole. One of the things that I went last night and saw the movie Life with my son. It's a new movie. It just came out. And they found a microscopic single-celled organism on Mars, and they woke it up. And what they found was that this single-cell organism actually had everything in it. It was a nerve cell, it was a muscle cell, it was an organ cell, it was everything, kind of like a stem cell, but more complete. And so as the being grew, and the cells began to grow and multiply, it became a single individual with all these individual cells that make it up. What this reminds me of is, like, for instance, the man of war, jellyfish. It's made up of individual organisms that cling together, that create the whole. So any individual piece that breaks off can divide and multiply and create a whole nother one. Plants do this also. There are many plants that propagate, even just from a piece of the leaf, can propagate the whole plant. So this concept is repeated over and over in nature to show us this division of the self into multiplicity of expression in order to know the self, in order to see the self, in order to continue to propagate the self, and so on. So what Source has decided is that in this density, our lesson in this density is to be able to see ourselves in the other, to be able to remember that the other is just the other self. So what we do right now is we define ourselves by what we are not. Well, I'm not that. I'm not like that. I wouldn't dress like that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't behave that way. I am this way. And that's how we define ourselves. It's in relationship to the other, but through a judgment of not, right? Or acceptance. I wish I could be that way. I wish I could think that way. I wish I could feel that way. So when we are doing this kind of fractured state work, and we're trying to bring in the pieces of the self from all these different perspectives, when we're doing that kind of work, what's important to remember is that the other that you're judging, especially if their behavior is something you would never do to another. You're like, I would never act that way. I would never talk that way. I would never behave that way towards other people. That's not the lesson. It's not that you, and that's why we don't internalize it. We're like, well, that's not for me because I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't behave that way. It's not about that. It's how you treat yourself, right? So if we think, for instance, the husband is getting ready to go. He's trying so quietly to move through. So if we were to, for instance, judge another person, let's say that person is so critical and negative. They're always making fun of other people. They're always putting other people down. They're always saying mean things. They're always dominating and controlling. Well, then I would offer, the reason that's a trigger for you and really upsetting for you is not because you're critical or you're doing that. They say good morning, by the way, babe. But that's how you treat yourself. That's the self relationship that you have. You judge the others as bad for that, but that's because that's the way you treat yourself, not the way you treat others. So your other self, right? Your piece that you've decided is unworthy, unvaluable, is not lovable because of this. So look at the self. If you've got people that you're judging for that reason, for their criticality or their judgment, right? You're not allowing yourself to be free of that own personal judgment. You're not kind of the self. You're not loving of the self. You don't love the self if they display those behaviors. You don't give yourself permission to be discerning in your life, right? That's the bloodwed message. You maybe you don't look at people with that critical eye that says, oh, you know what? This person has this energy and they could possibly hurt me. And they're showing you that you're hurting you. That's the whole piece of that. It's about the self and the relationship to the self. Is judging the actions of another different judgment than judging the individual? So when we're triggered, when we're engaged, when our judgment comes in active, that about another person, that is a lesson about yourself and your relationship to yourself. Think about how, like, we could be at a bar, right? And let's just say we're at a bar and there's a group of people and there's a guy who's being really loud and really obnoxious and he's, whatever. If you don't give yourself permission to be loud, to dominate a space sometimes, to show up in your full energy and your full power, if you feel like you're supposed to be humble or be less and smaller, then somebody doing that is going to piss you off. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe how loud they are. Now, I'm speaking about myself right now because I can't stand it when people are really loud like that and overwhelming and over the top. It's one of those things where my judgment finger starts to fly and I'm like, oh my God, especially when there's a woman at the table and she's like laughing so loud. It's like you can't hear anything but her laughter. Oh yeah, my judgment comes out because I was criticized a lot as a child for being too loud, for being too overwhelming. So because I was too overwhelming, I was taught that you're not lovable when you're like that. And I started criticizing myself and bringing myself down and bringing my voice down to the point where sometimes my husband can't even hear me talking, right? So I don't give myself permission to be loud and free and carefree about how I'm expressing my joy or my excitement or my whatever. So I judge myself for that. Therefore, when someone's giving themselves permission, that's going to piss me off because I don't give myself that permission. So you see the difference there? That's how the judgment piece actually works. It's not about that you treat other people that way. It's not about that you dominate people and that you're supposed to learn that you're dominating people. No, you dominate yourself. Completely control, completely constrict, always judging yourself based on where you are at in the allowance and acceptance of self. That's what's important to learn about judgment. And like I said, I get this and I still struggle with it in my own life. So we tend to have, when we're really struggling about that, oh God, they're in my ear. When we're really struggling with that, we tend to have a partner or somebody that we can mirror with who's going to call your shit, who's going to call you on it, who's going to bring it to your focus. My husband calls me on it every time. Usually it pisses me off. Usually I reject it from him, and then I have to hear it from multiple other people, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, yeah, so-and-so also said that. And he's like, well, I told you that. I'm like, I know, but I couldn't hear it. That's why I'm telling you, I heard it. It took a while. So just give yourself some love, some patience, right? Quiet voice, yeah. Yeah, so this is something that many of us are going to struggle with. And a big part, what we have to remember, is the big part of that is when we're people like this, where we come in and our intuition is on, our guidance is going, we're psychically seeing, we're pulling in this information, we scare the crap out of adults. We scare them because we speak truth. We don't have filters yet. We haven't built in the shh, let them live their delusion, right? So we just speak it, and they have to shut that down because it makes them uncomfortable. They're not ready for that. So the people around us do that, and then it's the process of us unlearning that. Now, why is that happening? Well, that's part of our path to help others unlearn, to be able to witness others, to be able to see others where they're at. It's all connected. So I birthed into a family that did not want to hear my truth, that was going to shut my voice down so that I could perfectly understand this system of judgment and the system of being fractured, of being apart, separate from, of being abandoned by the self. So I was abandoned by others. Of course we scare them. We scare them, we make them uncomfortable, we witness them when they don't want to be witnessed. You know, nobody wants to be seen taking a dump, right? Nobody wants to. Oftentimes, people are taking spiritual and energetic dumps right in our face, and we don't know about it. We don't know what to do about it. We don't call them on it because we're trained not to. Prince, what's his name? Prince E, the guy who does the rap or the videos where he talks about subjects. He did a great one about garbage. And he said, you know, if people came into your house with a garbage bag and started strewing garbage all around your house, you would immediately say, get the hell out and take your garbage with you. Get the hell out, right? But when people come in and they dump their emotional garbage, their psychological garbage, Prince Ia, thank you, or their spiritual, energetic garbage in our house, we tend to let them. We don't tell them to leave. We don't tell them to clean up their own mess. We let them dump their criticism of others on us. We let them dump their belief systems on us. We let them do these things. And that was part of my earlier comment, my card pull that came through, was I was trying to figure out, how do I not let this guy dump his garbage on me? That was your stuff. That's your problem. And his response was, that's actually, you don't understand my system. You don't understand because you don't know it. Mine's ancient. My elders taught me this is how I do it. And the reality is he's hiding behind his system and using it as a justification. And all I can do, it's not my place to do, that's his relationship. That's his journey. That's his course. But I had to speak my truth. I understand that I don't understand where you're at. I'm fine with that, but I'm letting you know I'm not comfortable with being blamed, teased, or made fun of for something I'm bringing into a healing circle when it's supposed to be a space of vulnerability and healing. That's what I'm telling you. He's like, you don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed. You can just tell me. I'm like, I'm not embarrassed or ashamed, and I am telling you. Right? So I had to learn that in order to speak my truth clearly, to not get lost in the blame game, to not get lost into all of the garbage dumping. I didn't want to dump my garbage in his house. I didn't want to do that to him. I wanted to be clear on what's my garbage and what's for me to show for him. So I paused and waited before having that conversation. I did this work that I've been teaching you guys. And all week long in the fractured state stuff, that's what I've been working on, is trying to see that more clearly. Finding my little girls that were feeling bad for putting something they shouldn't have, that were feeling guilty, that were feeling ashamed, that were feeling embarrassed, right? That were feeling unworthy of the space. I was working on myself through that week, and this is why Morning Oasis is so awesome, because I'm bringing what I do for you guys to be able to see it clearly. So one, you can see we're all just the same being, going through this from different perspectives. We're all going through the same stuff. We're all struggling with the same stuff, just from our own individuation. So, with that said, I wanted to, I thought we could round out the meditations of this week with the judgment piece. Thank you, guys. I couldn't do the work without you, honestly. Having this collective coming together on this daily basis, doing this work with me, you all bring energy into this, you all bring awareness, you all bring consciousness, you bring questions, you bring allowance. By doing that, it makes it easier for me to be me. It makes it easier for you to be you. We are coming together and creating the unity. And that is such a special gift to be a part of, and I'm so grateful to you all for it. So I was kind of trying to hold off until my husband would be gone so you guys wouldn't get interrupted during the meditation with the bell or any of that stuff, but it looks like that's not going to work out. So what we're going to use as a stone support energetically while we do this work, this is a selenite wand. The selenite wand, the first time thank you. The first time I showed this wand to my friend Hannah Neal, who she's just magical in so many ways, and I really enjoy her. I showed her this wand. I don't have it around me right now. It's in my box for taking tomorrow night, and my selenite sphere. Perfect. When I showed her the selenite sphere, bye, honey. Bye. When I showed her the selenite sphere, I shit you not, you guys. It was a clear blue sky day. There was not a cloud in the sky. And outside this window, this out here is our alleyway. This alley faces west, right? And it's a narrow alleyway. And it's 33rd place. A lightning strike struck right in the middle of the alley, right outside the window we were standing at, the second she put it in her hands. And when it did, this wand and that sphere became activated with powers that are amazing. So that sphere holds the eye of God. It's a sacred sphere now, and I'm not allowed to just have it be out willy-nilly. It only comes out for work, for clarity, and otherwise it's kept put away. It's really clear about that. There was a while that I slept with the sphere. I can't even describe the dreams I was having. This wand became infused with that Archangel Michael, sword of truth energy. And the sword of truth is actually usually a sphere of energy that transmutes things into their most truest nature. So we're going to use this sword of truth to assist us in understanding and seeing the truth behind the judgment, so that we can see the self and accept the self more wholly and more completely. Okay? So, since he's been picked up, I'm going to take a sip of my smiling coffee. I love coffee. Honestly, I can't foresee ever a time giving up coffee unless there's an apocalypse and there's no coffee left. That would be a hard day. So let's go ahead and get really comfortable. Make sure you're sitting comfortably or laying comfortably. And go ahead and just focus in your energy. Yeah. Selenite is a wonderful thing to sleep with. Wonderful dreams come from that. If I have my druthers, Jesse, coffee will be like the only thing we need in 5D. That will be the nectar of life, if I had my druthers. All right, so go ahead and start bringing the focus into the self. Breathing in this present state. Smelling the air. And releasing. Breathing in this present moment, present awareness. And releasing. Breathing in, feeling the temperature, the taste, the feel of the air as you come fully into the present, into this vessel. And releasing. Go ahead and start feeling your roots, feeling them growing deeper and wider. Feeling your grounded energy anchoring you, clinging you into Gaia as she rides the waves all the way through into 5D. Feeling that intense vibrational resonance that's coming up from her as she's transitioning. Her skin is quaking and quivering. Just feel those vibrations effortlessly and gracefully rising up through the body. As you allow your physicality to become shifted. It's like in an earthquake. The ground experiences liquefaction. Allow your cells to become liquefied, to transition and transmute, almost to the point where you feel like a puddle. And as you do so, everything that is not a part of you, all the dense things you've collected, the debris, the beliefs, they're just dropping out of you down into Gaia as she consumes them and transmutes them. Does not feel good. And we're going to call in Source and allow Source to just flow through the vessel in that optimum state of total allowance of the self in all ways, all aspects. Just like water flowing through us in this liquid state, like the fresh water meeting the salty ocean. As that fresh water comes down and through, just like when it comes through the mountains, it strips away bits of the land, clearing the path even more of the river, and deposits all of these rich nutrients in the delta and below, right below her in the mouth of the river. This is what we're doing, is allowing that flow to release this debris that once would have been thought of as garbage, mud, dirt, dirty, but it's nutrient full. We're going to allow it to become the foundation under us, with which we grow from, learn from, develop from. Reminding me of the whale at play in the stripe of the San Diego River in the ocean, the muddy river. We're going to play in our own mud today, the mud of our judgment. The clouds and obscures things. Now I want you to think of someone you're judging, some situation, some person, some action, some behavior. Call it into focus and play it out in your mind, remembering all the different ways you judged that person. Recognizing that judgment is useless without discernment, bringing in that energy of blood red to support us, that dark night of the moon, the dark light. See how it's all connected? Just from different perspectives, we were looking at the same thing. The card of the Five of Swords, the feeling of being under attack, but really being supported, being delivered the greatest of gifts. Call in all these energies, all this awareness, all the epiphanies you had as we were discussing judgment. And continue to judge the other, looking at all these aspects and pieces. And now begin to see how that judgment that you hold of the other is judgment with which you harshly criticize yourself. That you've decided that you are unworthy, you're unlovable if you hold that level of judgment, if you behave in that way, if you call that much attention, if you criticize, if you negate, if you reject, whatever it is. See how this is the harshness with which you've carved away parts of yourself and rejected them. And begin to see the self more and more for its allowance of you to behave this way towards it. And begin to look more truthfully on the self, where it learned these lessons, where it learned that it had to do these things or act this way or not act this way in order to be worthy of love, worthy of acceptance, supported, held. And begin to see that part of the self as one of your most gifted and beautiful parts that you're now uncovering and finding, just like a treasure lost in an attic. You're uncovering and seeing the self with truth, with the light of truth, with Michael with you, supporting you, carving away the non-truth as you see more and more of the self. I'm hearing in my mind this piece that so many of us use to belittle and diminish ourselves, this who am I? Who am I to be a piece of God? Who am I to speak the truth of Source? Who am I to speak from my heart and to channel openly that with which Spirit wants to be spoken aloud? Who am I? I am a piece of God. I am the Creator embodied. I am the divine. That's who I am. That's who I came here to be. See that in the parts that feel like, who am I? I am the divine. The divine gives me the authority to be me. I give myself the authority, the position, the permission to hold myself as I came here to be, to flow as I came here to flow, to share my gifts with the creation, to receive from the creation, to shine my light in even the darkest of spaces, the darkest of times. I am the divine. And with that, I'm going to leave you. Stay in this space for as long as you choose. Continue to hold this vibration. Carry it with you throughout the day, throughout the rest of your expression. I love you, and I'm so grateful that you joined us today.